worry about me. I'm fine. I'm just teasing you.
All right, welcome to our team call for November 18th. I am so excited for tonight. Funny story, but I think Michelle and I actually met because she liked a couple of my photos on Instagram. And I remember going to her profile and being like, wow, this woman has some really like awesome business tips. Like she looked like a business coach to me. So I followed her back and then I started kind of going through some of her posts and then I think I saw a t-shirt you had on that said coach on it. And I was like, oh, I'm like, she's a Beachbody coach. And we just kind of started chatting and connecting and realized we had a lot in common. We've been coaching for about the same amount of time. And we just, I don't know, really connected and said, hey, why don't we swap team calls? And so we've been kind of chatting back and forth. And I'm so excited because it's so fun to meet with leaders in our business that we don't know or don't really have connections with that have different things to share than we do. And I think it's a great learning opportunity. So I'm just going to quickly introduce you, but I would love if you would just share a little bit of your backstory, kind of how you got into coaching and how you got where you are now before you dive into your topic. But Michelle is an adoptive mama. She's a former Aveda. I think you say Aveda, not Vita, right? I always said it wrong.
That's right.
A former salon and spa owner. She's been coaching for 6.5 years. She is a 7-star and a 1-star combined. 1-time premier, 3-time elite, and she has hit Success Club 10 every single month since she started coaching, which is just such a testament to consistency and growth and leadership and determination and showing up through all the different seasons of life. But she's going to talk to us really about branding and speaking to your ideal client tonight. So it'll simplify social media and attracting the people you're looking to connect and just really how to simplify your business. So I know we're all excited for this topic.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I am so excited. If I can give you one little tip that I just really decided to do this year was reaching out to other people that are in the business. For years, 6 years, I've been saying, oh, but they're a coach. I don't need to follow them. But we have so much to share with each other and you can collaborate with people on so many different teams. So, I mean, just Dana and I, just this simple connection, and then now we're sharing for each other's teams. So start now. Don't just brush everybody off because we have so much to learn from each other. But as Dana said, I've been coaching for almost 7 years. I started in May 4th, 2014, and she's right. I was thick into my salon and spa and never ever anticipated leaving there. In fact, I thought I was going to have a chain of salon and spas. I had been cutting hair for 20 years. I had grown that business to well past 6 figures. It was a huge sort of salon and spa in my area. I loved it, or I told myself I loved it because I just thought that's what I was supposed to do forever. In the meantime, I had also lost 80 pounds using Beachbody workouts. So I had found Beachbody while eating Cheetos on the couch, probably 16 or 17 years ago. And I was that girl that bought the DVDs off of the infomercial. And I was actually that girl that did it. I did them 80 pounds overweight, like slugged my way through them. Never really followed the nutrition plans though. I really just did the workouts and very, very slowly lost 80 pounds. Like it took probably 10 or 11 years to actually lose that amount of weight. But by the time that I had lost the bulk of the weight, I happened upon a Facebook post, and it honestly was one of the ads. Like, I'm sure you guys see ads, right? Well, it was one of those, like, I'm looking for 10 women. And I have no idea why I said more information. Like something clearly took over my body because it was not like a normal thing for me to do. I had no idea who this cute blonde girl was in the picture, but she of course messaged me right away. And I think I had an inkling that it was Beachbody. And as soon as she started describing it, I said, you know what, you don't really need to say much more. I would love to help women, lose weight. I wasn't really in for the business aspect. I just really loved Beachbody. Like I just really believed in it because I had used them for so long. And honestly, within 2 days, I'd hit Success Club 10. Like I am the dream. Like I was the dream at that time for Amy because we didn't really know each other. She didn't have to tell me anything because I just had this experience for myself and I was able to share it pretty publicly because I had my salon. So people had actually watched me lose 80 pounds. So being proof of the product is really what makes this work. I really do think it's such a big, and it doesn't have to be 80 pounds, it can be 5, but you've got that like vibe around the product and you believe in it so much. And of course, I've just continued to have that same belief with the products and programs and as we progress as a company. And I think that's what's really kept me excited about the business and able to share it in a really genuine and authentic way. So that's really my story. I have grown this really amazing team. And surprisingly enough, my team is very local. I have a 5-star coach under me and she lives 10 minutes away. So all of my star diamonds live within 20 minutes of me. So don't always think that you need to have this huge social media following to build a really epic team. And it's been so fun. Obviously, our team has grown. You know, I'm in Canada, so we have tons and Texas all over the place now. But at the beginning, it really was this core group of us that were pretty local. We weren't friends, though. These were not like best friends of mine. They were just people that sort of saw me on Facebook, but knew me locally through the salon. But we've obviously become really, really, really close. And it was really fun growing our business together. So we did a lot of stuff. I of course, was the leader, but we did a lot of stuff together. So I know people think that it takes all this social media and cold market and all this stuff, but really, you know, the people right in your neighborhood might be waiting. These people that are my leaders now, I probably would never have imagined that they wanted to join my team, you know, that they wanted to do this with me, but they started with the products just like I did, started with the workouts. I wasn't afraid to say to them, hey, like, do you want to get the discount? And I wasn't afraid to put them into my team page because I knew my community was where it was at. Like I knew that the vibe and the energy was inside my team page. And as they saw, you know, me sharing what I was doing with coaching, they wanted to do it as well. So that's how I've really grown my team. That's how it really, really started. I definitely got to 5-star elite twice with just my little local bubble. So I don't know if that motivates anyone, but it usually is a motivator for people when they hear it, because you just never know who's in your backyard or who's best friends with your mom, you know, like that. My top coach, literally our parents are best friends. It's like she's 12 years younger than me. So I wouldn't ever have like hung out with her, but because she saw what I was doing, it all kind of worked together. And what's 12 years when you're 46, right? Like now we get along great and we spend a lot of time together. Anyways, that's my story.
Stop you for 1 second because I love that so much. And I think, I always like if I start conversations out in public, add people to my social media, but I know that that's not something our team focuses a lot on. And I think it's something we could all definitely get better at is talking more to people in person when you're at school events or social things or whatever. Do you have like 3 tips maybe on how you did that? Like, did you add people to your social media? Did you ask them to go for coffee? Did it just randomly kind of come up in conversation because you were friends? Or how did you approach people about it? Because I love that.
Yeah, well, I do nothing in person. So I don't like talking on the phone. I do not like coffee dates. I love this virtual world. But because I was working at the salon, and I think that's why I really like my life was so public. So when someone was at the salon or I saw someone at the coffee shop and they actually saw the proof and they asked me about it, I never really, truthfully, I didn't feel that comfortable talking about Beachbody in public. I really kind of had this fear about it in public. So I would just say, listen, message me on Facebook or I'll message you as soon as I get home. And that's how I did that's how everything happened. And I was sharing my journey on day one, the minute I signed up. The one thing about my coach, Amy, she was big on social media. So she was really, I think, an early adopter of sharing everything. So I was mimicking her. I saw, okay, she's sharing like her transformations. She's sharing recipes, like pretty simple, like her sweaty selfies, quotes, all that kind of stuff. So I started doing that. Plus I had this sort of public thing going on. So as soon as they saw me on Facebook, they realized, oh, okay, so she's doing something. So I think it's a marriage. You do have to have both going on. And, I built up credibility because I was giving value all the time and sharing. Just like giving value sounds like, ooh, what does that mean? Like give a recipe. Like it's not that hard. And then people see you as the authority in health and fitness. Like I know we often don't have confidence in sharing what we're doing, or, oh, why would they think that I could coach them? Well, you know what? Like people actually don't use Google and Pinterest for healthy recipes like you and I do. So many people don't actually. It blows my mind when someone says, oh, well, how did you find that out? And I'm like, I Googled it. Like, what? What do you mean, how did I find that out? But really, a lot of, like, the normal human doesn't actually do that, I guess. Like, I've always done that. But that's what we are to these people. So just share that kind of stuff, and then they start seeing you as the authority. So that's what happened. People started seeing me in person. They would ask me a little bit about it. I really, really was careful at my hair salon because, of course, it was a huge salon. There was like 14 staff. And I didn't want my staff to think that all of a sudden we could all just run another business at the hair salon, right? So I was really, really careful at work that if someone asked me, oh, well, what are you doing? Like, I'm seeing you on Facebook. I'd say, listen, I'd love to chat about this, but I want to keep it separate. I'll just email you or Facebook message you when I get home. And then that's how all my transactions really went down. So I don't know if that helps. I think it's just
yeah, I love that, because that's kind of what I do too. I'm like, let's be Facebook friends, because I feel more. I mean, now I feel more confident talking in person, but I didn't feel like that for a couple of years. Yeah. But I do feel very easily confident to talk to anyone online, and I do think it's when you are sharing that content consistently and people see you on social media and they're like, they see the interaction and they see the value, then they're kind of like, oh. Yeah. It's like they get to see a different side of you than when they meet the one version of you that's standing in front of them. Yeah,
exactly. And I remember a lot of times it wasn't necessarily the weight loss. Like the weight loss, sure, at first is a big deal, but that wears off. Like, in fact, now I've gained 20 pounds back. Like I've only gained weight since I've become a coach. Like seriously, I was so thin when I started coaching. But now it's more like how I've changed as a woman. I'm more confident, and people will be like, I don't know what you're on. I just want it. And so it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you've lost 20 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. They were like, you're just glowing and you're more confident and you're happier. And those are the things they start seeing if you share your authentic self. And that's something that I want to get into today about simplifying your business. I'm going to share a lot of strategies. I'm going to share some kind of how I plan my week and my month to keep my business simple. And one of my biggest things is actually how you can share yourself and use attraction marketing in that way. So does anyone have any other questions before I kind of dive in? I do have some slides because I can get way off track if I don't have some things in front of me. I can gibberish for a long time. Is it okay if I share my screen? Yeah, okay. Oh, it says you've disabled screen sharing. I think you just go into the settings.
Can you try it now and see if it'll work? Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, we're good. Okay, let's make sure I can see this here. What's going on here? Okay, can you guys see these? I'm trying to sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, so I talk to tons of coaches, obviously, on my own team, but I do actually help other women in network marketing as well. And one of the biggest conversations and questions I get from people are, I'm overwhelmed. Like, how do I create a system? How can we make this simple? I just don't feel organized. Like, how many of you guys have said that to yourself? My hands up as well. I mean, I think what I tell my team is if you've got 6-figure dreams, it's gonna be some work. Like, we're gonna have to figure out how to make this happen. So my call is really about helping you simplify your business. So just a little food for thought as we start. We always overestimate what we can do in 3 months, but we underestimate what we can do in 3 years. And this is all about your vision. Sometimes we think, oh, there's just like, I'll never be able to get to that goal in 3 months. I'll whatever in 3 months, and we underestimate what you could actually achieve if you got some simple systems in place to really help you boost this business. So the first thing, and I mean, Dana spoke on my call and she talked a lot about your vision and your purpose. And if you do not have a purpose and a vision for this business, you're not going to have anything that gets your butt up out of bed to do this every day. And Dana, I forget what you said on my call. It's either desperation or what? You had the best little quote.
Inspiration.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was as simple as inspiration. And I thought, no, it had to be a better word than that. So, and I think that's so true. It has to be something that either is like inspiring the shit out of you, or you are just so desperate. So I think Dana, when she shared her story, she had a very like desperate situation. I was so inspired to close my salon. It wasn't that my life was bad. In fact, people would have traded spots with me a million times where I was at that salon. But I got to the point that I, like, literally, you guys, every time I picked up a pair of scissors, I wanted to stab people with them. Like, I was just so over cutting hair. So the thought, the dream, every single day when I was talking to a client that was sitting in my chair, I was daydreaming. I cannot wait to tell you this is the last time I'm going to cut your hair. And that carried me. That fire, that vision, that purpose is what literally bolted me out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I was working 6 days a week, 12-hour days. I had a 2-year-old and my dad was dying of lung cancer. My days and life, it was manic at the time when Beachbody came into it. But I think Beachbody came into it because I was going to need it. 3 years in the future, I didn't know what was coming, but I was definitely going to need to be able to be home. And Beachbody was the vehicle to get me there. But my vision was just so strong and so clear. So if you don't have that, figure it out. Like, really, really be truthful with yourself. You don't have to tell anyone what your vision is. I didn't tell a soul because people would have thought I was insane. Like, oh, you're going to go sell shakes instead of like continuing to have this awesome spa and salon. You're crazy, right? So I just kept it inside, but I knew that I was going to make it happen. No one could have told me different at the time. I had lots of naysayers, lots of people that thought I was crazy, but my heart knew that this was going to be the thing to change my life. So that is my first tip for you. Like, you need, before any strategy, any habit, any IG hack, anything that you go and watch on stories and reels and all that shit, like, before any of that, make sure you're taking time to look at your vision every single day. Like, hopefully it's part of your morning habits. I'm actually reading the 10X rule. I read it every year. And in the chapter today, he's like, if you're not writing out like 10X goals every single morning, you're not doing enough. And I had got away from that. I haven't been writing out my goals every morning. I'm like, yeah, he's right. I kind of lost that fire, that little fire that peps me up every day. So that's my tip number one. Strategies versus habits. We need them both. There are strategies in this business. There's tons of different strategies. And you know what? They all work. I personally think we all need to decide on a strategy and we have to stick with it. For me, I have always and only used attraction marketing. I have never done cold messages. I have never gone for no. I have never sent out 100 messages in a day. That is not my style, but I also know there's tons of top coaches that use that strategy and it works really well. So if it works for you and it's actually working, it's not just you feel really great at the end of the day because you've sent out 50 messages that no one responds to. But if it's actually working, then keep doing what's working. For me, attraction marketing has always been the simplest way for me to do my business. And what I mean by that is I know exactly who I'm talking to. This is my strategy. I know the woman that I am talking to every single day. The woman has changed over the past 7 years. When I started coaching, like I shared before, I was very, very thin. I had just done Body Beast. I had followed the meal plan to a T, and I had the best six pack you will have ever seen on a 40-year-old. I was ripped. And I, at that time, knew I was attracting women that were in their late 30s, early 40s that wanted to, for once in their life, feel awesome in a bathing suit. And I literally talked to them day in and day out. I taught them how to measure their chicken, how to measure their broccoli, and not stray off plan. And that's exactly who I talked to every single day. Everything that I posted, I was gearing it to that woman. Now, as my story changed, my ideal client has changed, and that's okay. Yours will too. So now I'm a little bit more food freedom, I'm a little bit more flexible. Let's just all do the to be mindset and drink wine. But I also know that my ideal client is an emotional eater because that's me. And I learned that really came to a head when my dad passed away and I really, really struggled with depression. And that's really when I gained some weight, is I was just in this really downward spiral. And I decided to use that. I decided to use that to my advantage. And my ideal client became that woman. So the easiest way for you to figure out who your ideal client is just figure out, where are you in your journey? Where would you be just 2 steps ahead of someone else? What has Beachbody helped you with? It doesn't mean that you have had to totally recover from something or totally figure something out. You just have to be a couple steps ahead. What problems do you like helping women or men with? Who do you like talking to? Here's an example. I have PCOS, which I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. I've had it since I was 18. Everybody that has PCOS usually has weight issues. It's a hormonal, whatever. I could totally say my ideal client is a woman with PCOS. And I did for a few months. And then I realized every woman that has, not every, that's generalizing, but 90% of the women that have PCOS, that I would find on Instagram using the great hashtag strategy, were complainers. I think they were actually using PCOS as an excuse to be overweight. So I decided, as easy as that would be for me to have that as my ideal client, I don't want to talk to them. They're driving me crazy. I don't actually want to help them. So it's like when you're deciding who your ideal client is, you also get to decide, do I like to talk to this person? Is this the type of problem I like to solve? So for another example, I do not want to help any woman get abs. I don't. I want to help you learn how to be at a really healthy weight, how to, get over this mindless eating. But I want to share with you how it's okay if you have wine and cookies on the weekend with your 9-year-old. Not the wine, just the cookies. My whole purpose of sharing this is you get to decide. You get to decide what problems you want to help people solve, but your content is going to be so easy to create once you are focused on that person you want to help. What I find when I'm helping ladies on my team or clients is you're trying to talk to everybody. And I'm sure you've heard that before. If you're talking to everybody, you're actually talking to no one. And social media is so busy, you guys. There are so many of us doing this. And I don't mean Beachbody. There's Shakely, there's Arbonne, there's like, and guys, all the products are good. We don't have the best one. We just have one of the best ones. So it's really noisy out there. And for us to stand out, you need to talk to your specific person. This helps you become like an authority. People will come to me and say, and ask me to do team calls about 2B mindset. I'm like, what? I'm not like the expert of 2B mindset. I just talk about it a lot. But because I talk about it all the time, people think I'm an expert in 2B mindset. And that's what you can become in whatever you want to focus on. So maybe you love helping moms discover a morning routine. I wrote a couple examples here down. Maybe you love people that are just getting into working out. So maybe they've literally like never done anything but walk before. Maybe you really love helping them get started with low impact and like working them into it. Maybe you love helping yo-yo dieters. I know Dana, right in her bio, it says single moms. That's a niche market. That's an ideal client. It doesn't mean you're not going to attract other people. I attract tons of other women all the time, but when I'm focused on who I want to help, my business becomes really, really simple. I really believe that you need to create habits, monthly habits, weekly habits, and daily habits, because it produces a focused business with purpose. And then you won't be feeling overwhelmed. And that's the thing that stops everyone in this business. If anyone stops coaching on my team, I always reach out to them. What's going on? Why did I get this cancellation? Doesn't matter where you are in my downline. I want to have a conversation. And it's always, this was just too overwhelming. When you create habits, you won't be overwhelmed. Consistency is obviously a strategy. It's also a habit. You need to be consistent. Every single day, you really should be doing something for your business. And when you have these focused habits, it won't get overwhelming every single day. I don't mean you have to be like all over social media every single day, but definitely you should be posting, 4 to 5 times a week. People need to see you and see what you have to share and see the content that you're coming up with for you to build that trust with your audience. It's the consistency of all those habits that we are given from Beachbody, the success tracker, the making conversations and connections, filling our funnel and finding new people. Being consistent with all of that is what takes you to the next level. What takes you from hobby coach to actually business coach is really consistency. And duplication. When you have these habits, your team is going to have these habits. And then they're not going to get overwhelmed. So I hope when I share, I'm literally going to share with you my monthly, my weekly, and my daily habits that I still do in this business. And I did them when I was working full time. And this is really how I worked with my other schedule, is having these really great habits. And then I've just carried them through, even though I'm working from home now, obviously. Okay. So my habits or systems. So every single month, I look at Beachbody as a whole. What is going on? So what are we all thinking about right now? Control Freak. Like, we need to be excited about Control Freak. It's coming, and it's coming fast. So when you're looking ahead to December, okay, what's going on in Beachbody? What am I selling? Like, it's important to know what you're focused on. When is Dana or your team having a sneak peek into coaching? Plan and collaborate early with your team. So Sunday, so here we are mid-November, Sunday, myself and my leaders met for an hour and we decided December. And then I don't have to worry about it. I know exactly what's going on. Every single week, and I'm going to actually take you through step by step. So every single week, I find my focus. I come back to myself and say, okay, like, what exactly am I selling and focused on this week? And this is when I would like batch content. I say that very loosely because I'm a bit of a squirrel. It's not like I sit down and write out all my content perfectly every single, one day of the week, but I definitely come up with ideas. And when you know your ideal client, the ideas are so easy because all you need to do is think about the problems that she's having. Like, what is she struggling with? And that's how I come up with my content. I figure out what I'm selling that week. And then I say to myself, okay, so if it's control freak that we're pushing this week, or if this week I want to get people into my free group, why would my ideal client want the free group? What problems would that free group solve for her? Oh, well, maybe we're doing a free group on healthy eating after Thanksgiving. You know, I can help her. My ideal client's going to feel like a big chubbo after Thanksgiving because we are going to overeat like we always do. That's me. So I know exactly what kind of free group I could have. Let's defluff. I used to have free groups called the defluff all the time because that's my ideal client. Every Monday she needs to defluff. So it's like speaking directly to your ideal client, and every single week I figure that kind of stuff out. And then daily habits are so, so important. Brain dumping daily, doing your mindset work. You guys, to build your confidence and stay high vibe. I believe that this business is two things: being consistent with the strategies that Beachbody gives us. Like, we don't even need to do much more than what they give us, the success tracker, and just post your journey. Like, it doesn't even have to be any more than that. And your mindset, keeping your energy high and your belief high. And I discovered that when my dad died. I had got into such a depression. To get myself out of it, I dove into mindset work. And once I kind of like dug myself out of this fog that I was in, I realized, oh my gosh, this is exactly what my business has been missing. This is why my business has kind of felt so hard and so like a struggle and a push and pull. It's because my energy I haven't kept my energy up. So a lot of my morning, like a good full hour and a half, is spent on mindset work. It's a meditation. It's affirmations. I journal 3 pages every single day, even if I don't feel like it. I just put the pen to paper and I just make myself write. And that's where my best content comes. And then of course I read or listen to a book and then go do my workout. That is, I know Beachbody doesn't want to hear this, but I'll miss the success tracker before I'll miss that, because I know it's more important. Be proof every single day. Just be proof the products work. That does not mean you need to show your abs or be perfectly eating greens. It just means that you're like positive. You're a light in this world. You have something to share with people and you want to help them. And then of course, we all know we can't make light of the success tracker. We have to do those activities in whatever way works for you. So if that means sending out all the messages works, keep doing that. For me, it means a lot of connecting. I love connecting with people. I love friending people like Dana and finding out she's a Beachbody coach. Okay, no problem. We're still going to chat. Like, I just love making friends, and making friends becomes really easy when you know your ideal client, because you know where to find her. I know where emotional eaters hang out on Instagram, and I just go to those pages to find them. I know where adoptive moms hang out on Instagram. They're an ideal client of mine too. So it's like, once you know, does that kind of make sense, you guys? Once you know that little piece, your business becomes a lot easier. And it might take, don't get stressed out about the ideal client. Just keep it simple. Try different ones. Like I just said, emotional eater, adoptive mom, PCOS, like those are all my kind of ideal clients. And I can find them on Instagram, and then we instantly have something in common. That's all in my bio on Instagram. So when I go follow them, they follow me, they see something familiar, and then it starts, right? The relationship starts. So that's my biggest lesson. Like, know who you're talking to, who you're helping, and definitely, take the time for the mindset work. Okay, so I am going to break down. This is my team's favorite call of mine. They ask me to do it all the time. And I actually think I'm a bit of a squirrel. Like, I don't want you to ever think like I'm super organized, but this stuff has really, really, it's just like simple things that you can implement that will change your whole business. So again, my monthly habits. I set goals. I love setting goals. I love getting a pen and paper out and saying, okay, I am going to hit Success Club 20 and I'm going to recruit 5 coaches that are going to be working. That does not mean I always hit it, but I like to have a goal and I like to know what's going on. Like I just said, prior to me having a big team, I would decide myself. Now that I have several leaders, I pull them all together and we decide, okay, like here's what's going on. Here's what's happening within Beachbody. How are we going to make that work? When are we going to have coaching webinars? Like we just get it all laid out. Like we have, I don't know where it is, but I have my December all laid out. December is going to be a huge month for us, right? Like who's trying to get to a certain rank goal by the end of the year and hit all this jazz. So December's like a month to be organized. So like right now, if you haven't already, I would pull out your own calendar and just kind of like figure it out for yourself. December 7th, I want to start, obviously we want to start talking about Control Freak now. We kind of want to start soft launching it a little bit. So on December 7th, we can get people signed up so they have the equipment in time to start. So all those little pieces, if you're organized early, the month doesn't seem overwhelming. Focus on the things happening within the company and the team, collaborate with your team, and create a business calendar. Whether you have a team or not, you should have a calendar. Now, everybody always asks me what planner I use. I mean, there's a million gazillion awesome planners, but this, after several planners of not buying and not using, this is called the Daily Greatness Planner, and it's the original. And what I love about it is it has my mindset work in it every day, plus it has my schedule for every day. So here in the morning, I write out like my gratitude and my affirmations, and then it has a section for night. I think it's a lot like yours, Dana, the high performance habits. And then I can write out my day, but then it also has like a month at a glance. So that's the planner I use. I really like it. So that's where I fill in my month. Okay, my weekly sort of habits. Sunday, when I was working at my salon, was truthfully the only day that I had, because I worked Saturdays, like I was a hairdresser. So Sunday was the only day that I could like sit and sort of like figure this other business out. So I've just grown into that habit that even though I'm off work or like I don't work anywhere else besides Beachbody, I still make Sunday the day that I just figure my week out. I wake up at the same time. I think the biggest thing I can tell you guys, if you're still working, I'm sorry, but sleeping in is going to have to wait. Like if you want to build, or staying up later, one or the other. If you want to build a big business, like you have to find the time somewhere. I had to leave from my salon at like about 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't get home until 8 o'clock at night. There was no, like I was cutting hair. It's not like I could sit at a desk and return messages during the day when I was working. So I had to figure out when I was going to make this business happen. And that for me was early in the morning. So on Sundays, I made the decision, I'm going to forgo sleeping in. I am going to still get up at that really early time, and I'm just going to plan my week. I am just going to plan it. I even created content and took pictures when I was working. And then all I had to do every single day was just post. I was like, okay, it's Tuesday. Oh, it's Transformation Tuesday. Like back then, that's what I would have done. So simple. It's Transformation Tuesday. Here's a story about Sally who lost 5 pounds or learned how to cook this week or whatever. But it was all ready. And I have been the biggest fan of Google Docs since I started this business. Reason being, Google Docs can be on your phone and it can be on your computer, and you can share it with other people. But mostly if I type something on my computer, it just shows up on my phone on my Google Docs. So I'm actually going to show you the Google Doc thing that I still use every single day. So I hope I can somehow find it here. How do I get out of this big old, okay. Can you guys see this? My Google Doc? Okay. So this is like my original Google Doc. So every week I just put the new date, and I always say to myself, okay, like what are the types of posts that I would want to share every single week? Engagement. I want to have posts that have engagement. And I can share this with you, Dana. Like you guys can make a copy if you want it. A lifestyle. Like I want people to get to know me. What could I post that would be fun? So that might be like a funny reel right now, right? Like I did a funny reel yesterday about hairdressing. My story. I often want to get vulnerable and share my story about being 80 pounds overweight and what that felt like, or share my story about my dad dying and being so grateful that I wasn't at the salon anymore and I could be here for my mom. I want to share value. I believe in sharing value, whether that's emotional eating tips, just a recipe, whatever. Motivational, we always want to be motivational, but I am a huge believer in twice a week, you need to be talking about what you're selling. If you are not doing that, like if you go look at your Instagram feed and in the top 6 pictures, if you have not invited, said, come and join my group, come do this with me, message me about more information, you have a hobby, not a business. You need to be doing this twice a week at minimum. I would, depending on how much you post, I definitely twice a week. I love saying that to people. I'm very confident in like, if you are not messaging me to do this, you're crazy. Like you should, but that's me. I've been doing it for a long time, but you really need to get into the habit of twice a week sharing, and not just in your stories, guys. Oh my gosh. I sometimes wish we didn't have stories. I love them, but too many people are hiding behind their stories. And I don't know if you've noticed, but about 9% of your followers see your stories, if you're lucky. That's not enough people to build a business. That funnel is not like, you have to be posting. You have to be posting on wherever your people are hanging out, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to run your business. You have to be posting as well as stories. Stories are awesome. I mean, I was joking that I wish they didn't have them. I think they're a great addition, but I think people hide behind them. I have so many coaches that I'll like go to their feed. I'm like, well, of course you're not at Success Club. You haven't posted in 2 weeks. Oh, but I've been doing stories every day. Okay, but the same 50 people have seen your stories for the last year and a half. They're not, come on, we got to do this, right? So
I was gonna say too, I noticed on my Instagram ever since Reels came out, like I used to maybe have like 120 on my IG stories every day, and it varied who it was. And now it's down to like maybe 25 a day. Since Reels came out, I have way more engagement on my Facebook stories though. That's why I share to both, because I do a lot of connections on Facebook stories.
yeah, I totally agree. Like I love stories. I love it. And I love stories that you can kind of like, pop in there every day, join my group and see my energize. And like you kind of be a little salesy on your stories, but you have to be like doing the feed. And honestly, the more places you can be, the better. Like when Dana says she's on her IG and her Facebook, so am I. I am like wherever I can be, but you do it smart. You just share your content. Like I don't create different stuff for different places. I create one thing, it just goes everywhere. If the same person sees it, they must really like you because they're following you everywhere. The only person that sees all my stuff is my mom, and I don't really care if she's annoyed with me. Like I don't care. But not everybody sees it, right? Like we know the algorithm, we know the statistics that like 9, if you're lucky, 9 out of 100 followers see your stuff. That's not that much. So don't think you're bugging people. But make sure you're inviting. I always think of my audience as kind of like my little girl. Like they don't actually get it. Like that you actually have to spell it out. You have to say, please message me if you want to do this. Please drop an emoji. Like whatever your call to action is, you have to really lay it out. You can't just assume that people know what you have to offer. And I am a firm believer you have to do that twice a week. Like you have to. And that's why you need to know what you're selling, right? Like you need to, like right now, this week, I am 100 focused on getting coaches on my team. Like I want working coaches on my team. So my whole thought process is, what are some different things I can start sharing that are going to attract women that would want to work with me? So it's not really health and fitness necessarily focused. It's more about business this week for me. That's what I'm selling. Don't forget, we sell health and fitness, but we also sell, like air quotes here, we also sell a business opportunity. So make sure that that's part of it for you guys. So this is exactly what I do this week. I have all the like links that I would have to send people if they were interested. I figure out, okay, start soft launching Control Freak in stories, pivot to hard coaching. Like I like lay it out. I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This might seem a little anal, but it sure makes my life easy. I go to this every single morning and I'm like, oh, okay, Wednesday. Oh yeah, I was going to do that about Delaney. Nah. Like, so I didn't use this today. I didn't actually use it, but it's there. So it's like, does it feel right when I get there? Yes, no, maybe so. But at least I feel really, really organized. And some days I'm as anal as getting my hashtags ready. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. I just have them there. So I just have this doc, and it's just always been this thing that I've had for organization because I was always all over the place. I was at home, and then I was at the hospital with my dad, and then I was at work. So I always had Google Docs that just were, this was always here. Here's my message that I send people. So I don't know if that's helpful, but it's been like a savior for me in my business. Okay, so create your plan so you can alleviate the pressure. Schedule all your challenge group posts. Like, what are the things that you can do on the weekend to get so many jobs out of the way, right? Like if you've got a free group coming up, just schedule all the stuff. If you've got your challenge group, schedule it. Like the more you can do at one time in bulk just to get it out of the way, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And every week, like I said, I'm really big on value. I'm such a big believer in the more value you give people, the more they think you have to give. So you might think, like, honestly, I have nothing more to give. Like I give everything in my stories. I give all my tips, all my strategies, all my recipes. There's really nothing more, but people always think you have more. And that's what makes them think that you're an authority. Like I said in the beginning, like the more recipes you share, the more like, here's my 3 tips to drinking more water. I always, probably once a month, here's my 3 tips for emotional eaters. Like, how do you keep your hands out of the pantry on Saturday night at midnight? Like I constantly share those same tips for people. So I always decide that sort of on Sunday. Now this is really Beachbody specific. And once you grow a team, you have more work to do. That's just the way it is. But you still got to do all the daily habits. Like we still have to do all the business building activities. Plus now we have these things to check in on. And this is the schedule that I made when I was still at the salon, and I still follow it to a T. On Monday, I check my downline to see what's going on, because we all know Wednesday night's a big night. Like my phone's been dinging all day. I've got a couple diamonds thinking they probably won't be, but thinking they're going to be diamond tomorrow and all this stuff. So on Monday, I trained myself, and now I train my team. They need to check their Coach Online office on Monday. We don't wait until Wednesday to see if we're going to lose our emerald. We figure it out on Monday. So it's just something that's kind of like an unwritten rule. Check your downline. What's going on there? What are your coaches doing? What do you need? If you're going for diamond, what do you need? Like what needs to still happen? And the subscriptions. I always check on Monday my subscriptions, because those are the easiest Success Club points ever, especially in November. Like the challenge packs are so cheap. So if you have someone that is renewing their Beachbody On Demand or something, you should be emailing them and saying, listen guys, I see that your subscription's coming up in a week. You could get a challenge pack for like, what is it in the US? My prices are Canadian. I don't know. Like, what are they? $140 US? Like for $40 more, you can get all this stuff. So on Monday, I always know to check that, and I'll email anybody. On Tuesday, I just always pour all my energy into challenger check-ins. I'll just quickly message them. It is nothing fancy. It's like a voice memo. How are you doing? But I still find in my business, my best coaches, my 5 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, like they all started as challengers. And they all happened because I just poured love into them. So I've really tried. I'm not great. I'm not perfect at it, but I really try and keep a real good relationship with challengers. And I'm really diligent at making sure I ask challengers if they want to be coaches. I just basically, if you are a challenger and you're still there in a month, you're going to be asked. Unless I really feel like, yeah, this woman, like, no, I wouldn't want to work with her, or I just know that it's not her thing. I really do ask everybody. So that's what I do on Tuesdays. Wednesday is my team day. If my team needs me to bring them coffee, like whatever they need from me, I am there on Wednesday for them. So, you know, like we have a big team. We have lots of leaders that have kind of fallen off. So there's all these coaches everywhere, and I've really made it a practice that everybody can come to me. So that's what I focus on. Like besides my normal activities, this is kind of the extra thing that happens on Wednesday. Thursdays have always just been a creative day for me. I love creating. I love Canva. I love creating my own images. I actually don't have a VA that does my images and stuff. It's one of my joys in this business, and I never ever want to have to give it away because I really love doing that kind of stuff. So Thursdays, I just always do that. I hate following up. Like I hate it. It is what I am the worst at. I'm really, really bad at it. So I finally discovered the only way that I will do it is just like taking one day and making that my follow-up day. So I know a lot of people just follow up every day, and I don't mean to change that for anyone if that's working. But for me, Fridays are follow-up day. I just keep a list on a piece of paper of the people I need to follow up all week long, and I do it all on Friday, and I just voice message people. Saturdays, every other Saturday, we have a team call. And then Sunday, it's what I just talked about. Like I plan my week on Sundays. I take from whatever time I wake up until the time my family wakes up, and I just really focus on what I'm doing that week. And then I go into the week feeling really, really good. I never have that like, do you guys sometimes get that like anxious feeling, like what's going on? What am I supposed to be talking about? What's going on here? I'm overwhelmed. Now I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to crawl into bed and just like forget about this business. That's how I used to feel until I started getting really organized on Sunday. And then of course my daily habits start the night before. I think it's really smart to brain dump the night before. And then you wake up feeling pretty like relaxed. Like, okay, I know exactly what's going on today. Like I don't have to even like feel anxious. I'm good. I'm going to go downstairs and do my morning routine because I don't have to worry about what's going on today. So I always fill out, that's the last thing I do before I kind of shut my eyes, is I just jot down the brain dumping of what needs to happen the next day. Get up, get focused, mindset work, workout, community, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, my content plan, I'll go back to that Google Doc. Okay, I'll look at Wednesday. Do I really want to post that? Or did I get another brainwave does anyone else get lots of ideas when they work out? Like that's when my best things happen, right? So if that happened, I just post that, but I always have a backup. Like I never have a day when I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have nothing to talk about. How many of you have said that to yourself? I have nothing to say. Well, I always have something to say because I always know the problems and struggles my ideal client has. I always know that. And for a little tip, if you get a blank piece of paper out, put a line down the middle, put problems on one side and solutions on the other. Think of your ideal client. Just think of who that woman might be and write down a whole bunch of what her struggles are. Can't fit into her jeans, hates walking on the beach with a bathing suit, is so annoyed that she can never figure her diet out, feels like shit every Monday. All your kids must be in bed. It's so late. I can swear, right? whatever all her problems are, all the problems put on one side, and then have all the solutions over here. Well, this is how I can fix that. 21-day fix will fix that. I'm going to help you with that with my community. Shakeology is going to help you with those cravings. You now have posts forever because you just repeat them. I just write them a different way. I have a list like that. And so you're never wondering what to say. You never have to wonder. Even when I post like a motivational quote or a funny reel, I'm always kind of thinking about that woman. I'm always thinking about her like, oh, she would really resonate with this. And it's not hard to think of her because she's me. She's just me, like two steps behind me. Like she hasn't quite figured out. She still is actually sitting on the floor at midnight hiding chocolate bar wrappers. That was me 10 years ago. I mean, and I've overcome that. I'm not perfect, that's for sure, but I've overcome that. So I think of her, and that's as easy as the ideal. I know there's like thousands of niche trainings out there, and I don't know about you guys, but I did a lot of them and they just really confused me. And finally I hired a coach and she explained it so simple. She got me to make that page like problems, solutions, and it just seemed so easy for me. So I hope that helps. And it really has changed my business. It's just, I truthfully have people reaching out to me. I don't really invite, because emotional eaters come to me every day because they think I'm an authority on emotional eating, because I've just continuously talked about it and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. I started intermittent fasting again about 7 months ago, and I just started talking about it a couple months ago, but it's really helped me with my emotional eating, like in such a big way. I think it was finally like the last missing piece for me, but I still incorporate it with my emotional eating. Like that's what I focus it on. So I'm always talking to that woman, like maybe this will help you too, like me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And that's really it. Like at the end of the day, this business is pretty simple, right? Like Beachbody, 6.5 years ago, we did not have any of these tools that they give us. And they are just like getting better and better and better. So at the end of the day, what you need is purpose, belief in yourself, passion and excitement around what you're doing, your vision, like your real vision that you're scared to tell anybody, but you know what it is. Journal that thing out every single day. Think about it. Imagine it happening. Like I literally imagined, right? I told you in the beginning, I envisioned myself telling my clients, this is the last time I'm cutting your hair. Like I played that over and over and over again until it became true. Action. We have to take action. You've got to do the stuff every single day. You just have to. Nothing ever happens without action. So keep them simple, keep focused. And obviously with our business, one of the actions is so easy. Just be proof that this stuff works. And consistency. I know everybody gets sick of hearing it. I actually get sick of hearing myself say it, but it's the truth. It's like, I'm sure both Dana and I could say we've barely ever missed a day. Like Dana wouldn't be where she is in this business if she took like 7 months off. Like she just wouldn't. Like you can't do that. People will never grow the trust they need to grow in you, to buy from you, if you aren't consistent. And that's it. And I will answer like any questions anybody has.
I love it. This end slide, I need to like make that our team page banner because it like nails it in one slide. I think it's so perfect. I just actually posted something this morning in our team page about this, to do like an accountability pod this morning. I was listening to John C. Maxwell this morning. It's called Beyond Talent. It's a book I've just started listening to on audio. And he was talking about how we all have this limitless potential. And I think no matter how many times I've heard that, like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, yeah, we do. But he was talking about how if you don't believe that you have that potential and you don't pursue it with action, like we never, ever get close to what we're actually capable of doing. And I was just thinking how much that relates to this business. And it's exactly what you were just saying of, you have to have the clarity of vision, because the vision drives the action, and the action done consistently is what drives the results. And that's how we consistently grow our businesses. So I love that. And I love how you simplified that whole process of the attraction marketing, because I feel like we've done a lot of different calls on branding and speaking to your ideal client. We've done these super long, drawn out like exercises of like, who do I want to talk to, and what does she love, and where does she shop, and all of these things, which sometimes just makes me feel more confused. And I don't know who else thinks this, but like, I think I have so many facets to my story. Like, I, survived an accident. I'm a single mom. I lived through abuse. I built full time, like all of these things. And so a lot of times I sit there and I'm like, who do I talk to? Because I like talking about all these things, and I'm good at helping people with all these things, but I don't know who the hell I'm going to talk to today. And then I'm just like, well, I'm just going to throw whatever feels good today out there. So I love that you just say, like, sit with the notebook and say, what is the problem? What is the solution? Because when I think of it that way, I'm like, I love helping women go from feeling like a victim to feeling empowered. I love women, like helping women go from feeling overwhelmed to having a simplified structure and, routine for habits to feel well. Like, and it just makes it so easy when you think about it from that standpoint of, what am I going to go talk about today that's going to add value to this person that I want to be helping, instead of just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this business feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
The spaghetti on the wall.
Yeah.
And I know I spent so much money on this coach once, and she had me make like some sort of friggin' like scavenger hunt kind of thing. And I had to like map out my whole life. I'm like, this is insane. What am I like? She had me so confused about this ideal client. And it wasn't until a couple years later that I had like this most amazing coach. And it was like in 5 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, of course, this makes so much sense. And that's all she said is, I think we all get hung up in feeling like we have to be an expert. We do not have to be an expert in anything. All the expert stuff is done for us. Beachbody does it. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Beachbody does all that stuff for us. We just need to be brave enough to share what we're overcoming. We don't have to have overcome it, but like, what are you overcoming? I promise you, there's hundreds of women that want to be where you are. Like, even if you've only been a coach for a day, or you've only done Beachbody workouts for a week, you're ahead of someone else. Yeah. You are. You've already solved a couple problems that they're still sitting and spinning in. And all you need to do is like share with them, this is how you're feeling. I know how you're feeling. I know because I was there. But then you have to back it up with, but this is how I'm going to help you. And that is the one piece that a lot of people miss in their content, is being the authority. How many of you guys have people tell you, oh my gosh, you're so inspirational. Oh, you're inspirational. You motivate me. But they never buy, right? They never buy. It's because you have not proven to them yet that you have the confidence and the authority. Like, you're not coming across as the authority. So I could do a whole other call in like creating the content, but here's a breakdown. Paragraph 1 and 2 is describing how they're feeling. Okay. Oh my gosh, you woke up again on Monday with the garbage pail full of Halloween wrappers. You feel so embarrassed and so ashamed again. Paragraph 3, I get it. I was there. I know exactly how you're feeling. Paragraph 4, but I'm not there anymore. This is what I've done. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. This is how I've overcome it, and I'm going to help you too. So you're not telling them how they're going to overcome it. You're telling them what you're going to help them with, right? So you're not like giving them the solution, because that's what's inside the challenge group. That's what's inside your community. But you're sharing the little tidbits of, I'm going to get you in a community that's going to support you. I'm going to set you up with a meal plan, and I'm going to teach you how to know what foods you should eat. Like 3 little tips. And then you have to be bold and tell them that, you know, they're crazy if they don't message you. So that's like very, very brief, but you have 95% of Beachbody coaches are not being the authority. And that's why everyone's like, oh, everyone says I'm inspirational, but no one will buy anything. And that's why.
I love that. That's like gold. I think I'm going to put that on a graphic and share with our team, because I think it is really easy to be like, look at me and this is what I've achieved, but it doesn't always connect the dots to somebody being like, I can do that too, and they're the person that's going to teach me. And I think too, just like the connecting the solution we offer to the problem that we have, like the pain point and the feeling of it, of I felt that too. I know this is how you feel. This is how I've done it. This is how I can help you do the same thing. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I love your, just all of your planning. I think it makes it so simple that yes, it takes some time to put in that ahead of the month and ahead of the week. I plan my weeks as well. I don't content plan, but that's something I would love to do, because I honestly feel like that's probably one of my biggest struggles, that I overthink every single day. And I know I'm probably not alone in that. But I love your mindset of how it connects to, it's just so tied into what you're doing in the month. It's like, I always know when I'm promoting a challenge group. I always know when we have a launch coming. I make a team calendar at the beginning of every month, so we all kind of are on the same page. But it's so easy when you think, okay, this is what I'm sharing and promoting this week, and what problem does this solve for my ideal person? Like, what solution does this provide? And I love that, because it just makes it so simple.
Yeah. I used to feel very overwhelmed all the time too. And then I started, and honestly, I don't like create every single post perfectly, but I just get these like little ideas, and then I just feel more comfortable. I'm like, okay, you can breathe. Like, this week's going to be cool because you know what you're doing. You know exactly what's going on this week. Like, it's almost just like every other day I do like meditate, journal, all that woo woo stuff. But on Sunday, it's like, okay, this is business time, because this is just going to make the whole week feel so good. And I just have found it so helpful. And it's just like a habit. It wasn't easy at first. Like, I didn't really want to do it, but now it's just like such a habit that I've created with just these little ideas. And if I have a busy week coming up, like if it's a week that I'm going to be gone, and so I might plan a little bit more. Or this week I didn't have a ton going on, so it was kind of like a little more relaxed with it. But I don't know. It's really helped me for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like too, the thought of like, when you have a game plan, like I know when I sit down on a Sunday and I say like, this is a call that I have to show up for Tuesday, this is when I have to post this for that or whatever, that it frees up so much mental space, which allows me to take more action, because I'm not sitting in that feeling of overwhelm of like, what am I doing today? And where am I showing up? And where should I focus my energy? Which a lot of us feel like that. We just feel overwhelmed, and then we procrastinate and we don't take action. And when you have some kind of a game plan, it frees up that headspace for you to actually be like, this is what I'm doing today, and sit down and tackle it. So I love this so much. Does anybody that's still on, I know it's getting late, so people are hopping off. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah. So when you noticed that like your ideal person was attracting a lot of people who just like weren't in the right headspace, but like you still wanted to talk to that because that is part of my ideal client, right? How did you shift? Because like for me, like, you know, I lost my firstborn child like at 6 months, and like I've had a burn accident, and like very much so like Dana, she's my coach. But she, I mean, not for nothing, also really helped me get out of that. Um, and I always feel like she was way ahead of me. Like Dana held my hand a lot in the beginning. And now that I'm here and I'm like, okay, you know, she still now has to remind me like, no, like just because you had a setback, think about what you would have done 2 years ago, like when you first started, like you wouldn't have spoken up, or you wouldn't have done this, or you wouldn't have shared that. But I think the hardest part for me is, especially like with hashtags, with, the way that I speak in my posts, I don't necessarily want to draw the people that are still like hardcore in that victim mentality, if that makes sense. Like, not to say that they
No,
don't need my help,
I,
but they don't need my help right now. Like, they're not ready
yeah,
for it.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So just shift. You're overthinking it. You're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Like, you're overthinking. Like, when I decided, okay, these women with PCOS are driving me crazy. They don't want to lose weight. They actually love being chubby. I was just like, and it doesn't mean I don't talk about it. It's part of my story. And you know what? I do get the odd lady that comes in, or they've been referred because their sister knows I have PCOS. That's great. And if they want it, they want it. But I knew very much that I did not want to be dealing with these women all day, all the live long day. I would have like, just, no, thank you. So I just changed. I just decided, no, that's not what I'm doing. And I just talked to someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I relate to
it's
that
like
with
rip the
the
Band-Aid off.
the single mom thing, because I used to talk a lot repetitively about the beginning of becoming a single mom, like the abuse I lived through, the situation I was in, how I left, how traumatic that was, starting over. And what I was attracting was people in that exact scenario that were not in the headspace to make the changes that I was, or to pursue building it. Like, I wanted so badly to pull people out of the trenches and like, come with me. But like, nobody pulled me out of the trench. I sought coming out of the trench. Like, when I was ready to get my life together and stop living that way, I sought it out. Like, I was like, I want this. Like, I don't want to live this way anymore. I want change. I want a routine. I want to feel empowered. I don't want to struggle. And then I started looking for that. And so I think it's not so much about going back to all of those experiences as it is going to like who you are and how you handle the kind of aftermath of those things now. Like, I'm a single mom now, and I talk a lot about being empowered because that's what I've strived to become. So I personally think for you, Ashley, it's more talking about how you cope and how you manage with that now, not how you managed 6 years ago. Because
You
that,
have to, you also have to ask for what you're looking for. So do you guys know, well, obviously Kim Fitzpatrick, she
yeah,
came and spoke at one of my retreats, and this was a couple years ago, and she said, I ask for what I'm looking for. I am looking for women that are. I am looking, and now I write that in my post. I'm looking for women that want to build a friggin' business. I'm looking for women that are not going to tell me that they're too busy. Oh my God, you're not too busy. Like, would you like to see what I had going on when I did this? Oh, I just like have no.
go on a rant when you get a message like that, and you're just, listen to me, sister. I've heard every excuse the last 6.5 years. Let's talk about it.
I know. I just had another coach for like another team message me this morning saying that she wants to build to 6 figures, but then she listed out all of these, like, but I have to spend all this time with my family. And I'm like, well, it's not happening. Like, it's not happening. Like, you can't build such a huge business and have balance. I'm sorry, it's not happening. And that's okay if people don't like, it will happen, but you kind of have to work really hard for a while before it's going to be really balanced again, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I like your thing of we underestimate what we can accomplish in 3 years, you said, because it's true. Like, my life drastically changed in 3 years, but that 3 years I was head down, hustling, no TV, sacrifice of social life. I didn't date. Like, it was like head down.
My daughter, this is such a funny story. A memory came up in my Facebook, and I used to be a really, like, I'm not bragging, but I used to hit really high Success Club numbers, like 70, 80. I do not anymore at all. But a memory came up, and she's like, Mommy, like, wow, how did you used to do that? And I said, well, remember when I never spoke to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when we never talked because I had my head in my phone all the time and I was like slinging challenge packs while you were in the bathtub? Yep.
I said, that's how that happened. So now we're just happy that, I'm more balanced. But honestly, I mean, I joke about that, but I don't know that I would have got to where, like, I wouldn't have been able to close the salon. Like, there's just so, and my husband always says, stop feeling guilty. Like because my defense mechanism is to make a joke out of it. And he knows, like, behind the scenes, I'm like feeling super guilty and like, oh my God, I don't remember this and that and that. He's like, look at what you did for us. Like, I was able to retire him and it was all worth it. And now I'm here. Like, she probably wants me to go back to work now. She's like, oh my God, my mom is here all the time.
I feel like our businesses have seasons. There are seasons where you got to put your head down and you got to make sacrifices and hustle. And there are seasons where you got to pull back and like rest and prioritize other things more. That's been the last 2 years for me. So
Me too. I was over the hustle.
yeah. Can't do that forever.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I just have a statement instead of a question. I just want to say this has been such a great call. I was actually typing it out and I was like, let me just say it. This has been such a great call, especially as a new coach and one who was really on fire at first until like I hit an injury and then depression. Like, this was such a great call for me, and even just being back in everyone's like spaces and energy. It helped me segment everything Dana's been telling me a little bit more. And I just wanted to say thank you so very much. Thank you, Dana, for even, tapping me on the shoulder all the time, even though like I went through my own shit. But yeah, I'm back at it. I'm going to be consistent. I told myself like I need to continue doing this. And another thing, because like I touched my elbow and I could feel hangy fat. And I was like, oh no, the other way. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Ashley, Juliana, and Robin. Because like I see all your names, and every time my phone binks, I'm like, okay, it's 6 o'clock. Someone's worked out. I should work out too. So I just want to say thank you. And that was it. This has been really great. I look forward to like diving into all the stuff.
Yay.
And
That's awesome.
I love it. Well, Michelle, I cannot thank you enough. This was far exceeded my expectations, to be quite honest. This was amazing. I would love if you would just share the Canva with me, because I took screenshots of every slide. I know that a lot of these coaches would probably like to be able to refer back to it as they kind of create a game plan, because I have to say one more thing. This reminds me of when I went to New Leadership Conference, and I want to say it was Melanie Mitro did.
When were you there? I bet you we were there together.
We might have been. I don't know.
Melanie Mitro did.
She was my second year.
Yeah, mine too.
So 2016.
In LA, right? That's where it was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe. When Melanie Mitro did a speech and she talked about, because at that time I basically like flailed. Like I'd be like, I'm going to run a free group next week, and I'm going to run a challenge group the week after. And it was just like winging it all the time. And then I started to have coaches joining my team, and I was like, I really can't wing it anymore. Cause like, I can't teach people how to wing their business. Like I can't, like I have to have something to like figure out what I'm doing here. And she gave a talk on planning your month, and it was like free group the end of the month, promoting a challenge group at the beginning of the month, getting all your challengers started by 2 weeks into the month, and then talking about coaching the rest of the month. And that way she could easily duplicate it within her team and always knew what was coming next and always created content around that. And that worked for me so well for a couple years. And it was honestly in the last 2 years going through so much health wise that I slowly kind of trickled back from so many habits. And it's been like putting the puzzle pieces back together. And I think we forget sometimes that this is a business. And when you want to run it like a business, you have to plan your month like a business. Like, it's like if you owned, it's like on the wake up call this morning where he was like, when we owned a retail store, we had to plan what went up in the windows and how to, promote what was going on in that season. And it's the same with this. And when we take the time to put that game plan in action, then it's just so easy to do it. And that was like that changed my business from new leadership. That was like the best thing that I learned from that. It changed everything I did the next 3 years. So
yeah, I always tell my girls, like, do you think the CEO of Target just like comes in on Monday and like, okay, guys, what are we gonna do? Well, like, no, they plan years ahead. Like, we have to do the same, especially if you've got big goals. Like, if you guys want to make $500 a month, you don't just get to flail around, or $500 a week, or like whatever your goal is. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
This is a job. You know, it's a job. Like, it is a job. It's really, really fun, and you meet your best friends and you get to be healthy doing it. And like, it's the easiest thing in the world, in my opinion, but you still have to treat it with a bit of respect, like a business.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love this. So we're all going to get super strategized, and we're going to all tell you next year how much we've dominated in business. Thanks.
Yes.
All right here.
Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for staying up late for us. I know it's
oh my gosh, 9:54. Wow.
No, wait, but good luck going to sleep with that energized sister.
Melatonin.
I won't be sleeping for a while. I'll just sleep in tomorrow. That's okay. Thank you. Bye.